Hello, so I'm gonna just do a quick walkthrough of how I made my Alma wig. And Alma is a character from GATCHAMAN Insight. So his wig is a bit weird and I had a lot of fun trying to do it. The first step I took was to get a cheap wig, as you can see with the huge gaps in the wig wefts. And I just used a hairdryer to heat the wefts upwards against the natural, downfall. But then I tied up the areas that I wanted to colour because I decided, because we're not really sure what the colour of his hair is, it appears really weirdly in the series, I wanted to do like a gradient, so it was lighter underneath and darker on the top, so I do a gradient of purple, dark blue, light blue. So I went for the lightest colour as the base, and then I used Pastel, similar to the way I did my Dia wig, just to colour the whole of the top half. Blue just for the top coat, I then started to brush it through and then apply a darker kind of purple tone to the top. I kind of wish I'd brought this down further, just because looking at further reference photos it was a lot more purple, but I do feel like I created a good effect. I quite like the gradient look. And just at the end, which I didn't actually film, but I did go back in and add a bit more purple. I used a little bit of light pink in between the blue and the purple just to create more depth. And I think that worked well, and I also applied white to the tips that didn't quite look pale enough, because some of the pastel from the top layers are transferred into the lower layers and you lose quite a bit of colour that way. But then I went into the styling, which I was kind of roughly happy with the colour, and I went for the classic kind of M-shaped fringe as you can see in the reference photos. I did see that his parting was a little bit to the side, but I felt like the M shape and the kind of central parting would probably work best. And then from here, just to get the volume on the back so I could separate the top from the bottom, I backcombed the top and pushed it upwards, and then I cut the lower half really short because I saw he had kind of an undercut. In some photos it looked like it kind of been swept upwards, so kind of ducktail bat, but then in a few he had a proper undercut, so I thought I'd go for the undercut, just so you could really see the colour gradient and it wouldn't blend into the top with the lighter ends ending up halfway up. So here you can see I'm just trimming the overall lengths as well, after I've trimmed the underneath. I did trim the underneath quite badly. I did go back in at the end and kind of make it smooth, and I think it would probably look better if you added a lot of wefts. Then I went into the kind of general top shape and I just trimmed down masses of layers, and these layers will help later when you want to create little spikes that just give it the overall aesthetic. So I just kept trimming and trimming until I was roughly happy with the shape. I then used a hairdryer to try and curl up some of the top layers just so they sit better when you brush it down, because I don't want it to look really large at the top, I just want it to kind of siphon out into a curve. Here you can see I'm kind of using my hands as a base just to brush the hairs onto, because at this point the pastel kind of makes the strands a little tougher and it just kind of holds together a bit better. And then I applied just an overall coat of hairspray just to help me move things around. And now I use my fingers to pinch clumps of hair where I cut in layers just to create these spikes. Once I'd done a rough spiking layout, I went back in with the scissors just to trim these, and then I went back in and hairsprayed these spikes again to a finer point, and I went throughout. And here you can see the finished version, and I did go in, I might add some photos of the finished look, but I think that's about it, and I hope this tutorial helped you guys. Sorry if it's a bit zoomy, and if you have any updates, if you want anything improved, the way I describe things, just let me know. Because I kind of like this take more than my last take, which seemed very dull. But thanks for watching, and I hope you guys like my wig tutorials, and I might do a couple more.